and welcome to the Wellness Journey podcast with me, Ree Bowden.
And me, Suzanne Williams. This is season 4, which is all about new beginnings, and we have lovely Dan here from Breathe Hot Yoga to be our very special guest today, which we're very excited about in this beautiful place.
Yes, so for those who are listening to us rather than watching on YouTube, we're in this most amazing studio. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's called Breathe Hot Yoga and it's in Cardiff, and we have twinkly lights.
Yeah, we have Harry Potter.
Harry Potter lights,
with
which
a
is
wand.
beautiful. And it's such a calming space, and it smells gorgeous. So Dan is the owner of Breathe Hot Yoga. So how long has this place been here, Dan?
We've been here, or I've been involved in it for about 2 years. And it's only been the last year that I've been sort of running it on my own as Breathe Hot Yoga. So it kind of existed before, and now this is kind of its evolution, like it's come to this point now.
Yeah, and how long have you been a yoga teacher personally?
I've been teaching for about 8 years.
Wow, a long time.
Yeah, pretty long time.
Yeah.
It's the longest job I've ever held. Every other job I've had, I do it for a year or two, and then I'm just like, I'm bored of this. Like, I just need to do something else.
So this is obviously your calling then, your love
Yeah,
vibe.
it has to be yoga, that's it. Yeah.
Part of your wellness journey.
Exactly, yeah.
So when it comes to sort of new beginnings then, was that a pivotal moment in your life when you took up yoga, or when you became a yoga teacher? What was the sort of shift there that happened for you?
Yeah, it was funny. I joined a gym because I thought maybe it'd be good to try and gain some muscle. I was always skinny, always very skinny, and people think that's a nice problem to have. They're like, oh, I'm so jealous you get to eat all that food. But when you're the skinny person and you don't want to be skinny, like, you don't like hearing that. So I joined a gym, didn't know what I was doing, didn't gain any weight at all, but I spotted them doing yoga. And I was surprised at how difficult it looked, strength-wise, balance-wise, not just flexibility stuff.
Yes.
So I started going to classes, and then eventually did teacher training, really just so I could help cover at the place that I was going to. They mentioned that they were struggling for cover, and that if I was thinking about doing my teacher training, that'd be great. And I didn't think it would be a full-time job. I didn't think that was an option. I didn't know anyone that taught full-time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you started off on the... I remember coming to one of your classes a long time ago at 1-to-1.
Yes.
And I remember you just being such a vibey teacher. You had this beautiful mask and you just had this way of speaking, and you had really cool music.
Yes.
So I think that's one of your things, isn't it? You have really cool music. And made me feel like I was in Ibiza, and I just felt really... And it was beautiful. It was a lovely experience. And I think on the wellness journey, we need those vibes, don't we? We need to feel good and do things that feel
absolutely.
good.
I think it's when you teach that yoga class, that you get to choose how many elements and senses you incorporate. So that playlist, and like you said about like the scent and stuff in here as well. And it's just these things that make people feel more present and more anchored. So trying to use the senses as well.
That's beautiful. So when you started, then I'm going to be a yoga teacher, I'm covering. How does the new beginning feel? Because everybody wants a new beginning, but it can be scary. What stops us and what starts us? What was your sort of vibe there?
I think for yoga teaching especially, I think people are often a bit wary of speaking in front of everybody and teaching in front of everybody. And I'd already had jobs where I'd had to speak in front of people. So I'd already kind of managed to overcome that bit. And so I'd already done a lot of yoga. So I was nervous, but I didn't feel like I was super nervous. I felt confident to speak in front of people. I felt confident in my yoga practice, and the nerves didn't last very long. Taught a few classes, saw that it went nicely, and then just loved it from then.
That's awesome. I love that.
I was just going to say, what did you sort of learn in that part of your life? You know, that initial maybe 6 months or a year of becoming this yoga teacher and doing something different. What could you say to people out there now that are maybe thinking, oh, I want to do that? What did you learn?
You need to get the hours in. You need to get the hours under your belt. So I think of yoga teaching as, so for example, like you take your driving test and you've got your license, but you're still a bit nervous perhaps, you know?
Yes, yeah.
You wouldn't go and do an advanced driving course, a heavy goods vehicle driving course, and just start adding more and more courses to feel more confident. You would just start driving. You would just get the hours in. And I think that's what I would say for newer teachers. Just get the hours in. There's many courses out there, there's all these CPDs, and they're great, maybe later on, or just for fun, but they're not going to give you the confidence. The confidence comes from the hours.
Doing the stuff.
Doing it. Being uncomfortable and just doing it anyway.
Being uncomfortable. So when you're uncomfortable, how do you get through that moment? Because that's what stops us, breathe.
Breathe. Yeah, and ultimately it's, if we're talking about specifically with yoga or just in general, it's not that serious. When you feel that panic, that anxiety rising up, how serious is it really going to, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're teaching a yoga class.
That's cool.
You know, it's really not going to be the end of the world. You're not going to be like written off as a teacher forever because you forgot Warrior 2 on the left side. Like it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
It's perspective.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. So when you talk about the breath as well, is this something that you were doing already before you took up yoga, or have you learnt all of this because of yoga? So being mindful, breathing.
Yeah, that's all from yoga.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
so I kind of got into yoga accidentally through joining a gym and just seeing a class happening, and then as I got into yoga more, I just really enjoyed the challenge and that it was non-competitive. So I just wasn't really competitive for like sports and things. I wanted to just work on myself, and I found that the mindfulness was really, really good. So I had a typical kind of office job, which could have been stressful at times. I used to do customer service, so complaint handling and stuff like that. And you can do that for a while. You can do that for quite a while and be very good at it, but it's sort of like a slow drip, and eventually it just starts to grate on you. So I found that a lot of this mindfulness stuff and grounding, and I remember in the office sometimes people would be like, why are you sighing like that? And I just take a deep breath. I just, next, right, on to the next one. So yeah, everything that's come from yoga has taken me through into wellness in general. I didn't do a lot of like sports or anything before I got into yoga. So yeah, all my physical movement stuff has started with yoga.
That's awesome. So, and your wellness journey then, your journey into wellness, and what that means. Yeah. So you actually being brave enough to go into that yoga class and go, oh, that looks interesting. That was the turning point for you then. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm sure there's lots of people out there that wouldn't have stepped in because of fear, scary. Because of, well, I haven't done that before. And typically yoga, there are more females in the class than males. So again, that's quite scary sometimes for males to enter that. Yeah. And equally how females sometimes find it scary to go into a gym, like which is, Yeah, absolutely. So hats off to you, how your life has gone down a completely different path because of that.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a thing where we have these kind of binaries that are in place where yoga is heavily female dominated in the West, and like gyms kind of is the other way around. So it is a very similar thing, and we all need to do both. Yeah. In some amount. If you're super bendy, you need the strength for stability. Yeah. And if you're really stiff and rigid, we know that you need some of that flexibility to be limber. Just being able to get out of that comfort zone and do the other end of the element as well.
Yeah. Do you find, obviously, with my journey, I'm mindful and meditation, it's all of my life. It flows into everything, doesn't it? Do you find that you use it everywhere?
Yeah, it's definitely it becomes lifestyle. And that doesn't mean that, I'm trying to do splits at the beach. It's not, I'm not that guy. But yeah, it does become lifestyle. It does become that you start to make different choices, and you are doing that because you're more mindful. You're making more conscious choices and healthier choices, in all kinds of different meanings of the word healthy. But yeah, because you're able to pause and think rather than just react, and that's a big change for people.
It's made you more aware and awakened to the choices that we make instead of just going on the hamster wheel of like just doing stuff. You're like, oh, is this choice good? Is this choice not? Does this feel right? Does this feel... and sometimes on our journey, like when you were talking about you walked into that yoga room, you know, sometimes we're drawn to things, aren't we, that are meant for us.
Yeah.
And that yoga class could have been the little part of you maybe drawing you or whatever. And do you use your intuition and do you use that mindful part of you to make choices in your business and in the sort of the world that you're in now?
Yeah, I think that there's, you know, you can like analyze business decisions to death and never actually get to the end decision because there's so many parts of thought that you can go down with it. But I think that if you know yourself, you know your own offerings, you know your customer base, then you're going to have a pretty good idea of what's going to work, and that becomes intuition. Whether that comes from knowledge and the confidence in your own knowledge, but that's intuition, and that's what helps to guide you through it.
Yeah, that's cool. It feels nice in you, doesn't it? I can feel you can feel that you are who you are meant to be in this moment. You feel that person, and there's a lovely vibe in this space, isn't there? You just feel that. A nice new beginning.
So, could you give somebody who wants to try something new for the first time, like you did, and you stepped into that yoga class, could you give someone some advice on how to take that first step when something feels scary? How do you do that? What did you do on that day?
I think something that I didn't maybe give myself credit for or just wasn't aware of was that I wasn't afraid to be bad at something.
That's good. That's really interesting.
And I think that's the thing. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's plenty of things that I want to try, and I'm a bit like, oh, what if I'm not good at it? Like, but for some reason with that yoga thing, that day, I took the step. And then it's led to a whole other place that you wouldn't even imagine it would have gone to. And I think that's the thing is like, you have to be willing to be bad at something first. And to be okay with that. Like, you don't have to be great first try. Most people aren't. You know, the professionals in the industries that you admire had a first day, had a day one. And maybe their day one was when they were 5 or 6, but
it was still that
your day one's going to come now or
I like
never.
that. I like that. Yeah, it's okay to be bad. It's okay to make mistakes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely tons of them. It's okay to make tons of them.
Yeah.
And just learn and move on.
When we were kids, like, you learn to ride a bike. You just get on that thing, you fall off it, you scrape your knees, you get back on again, and you figure it out. But we don't like to scrape the knees of our egos. We don't like to be bad at something, or, you know, the newbie in the room. Give it a year. You're not going to be that person.
No.
You just need to get through that initial section.
And I know a lot of my clients do avoid going to yoga classes because they say, oh, I'm so not flexible, I can't touch my toes, I'd be really bad at it. And so they avoid the thing they need to do. But if you went to yoga, you would become flexible, you know? But it's like, oh, I don't want everyone looking at me. I don't want to be the person that can't do that move and, you know, stand out.
Yeah, and I think if people are like listening to this and they feel like that, as somebody that's been to lots of yoga classes and taught lots of yoga classes, but from the student side of the room, I'm not looking at what anyone else is doing. I'm really not. And if I do happen to notice, because maybe there's someone that's right next to me and they're really new, I'm certainly not judging them because I know that I had a day one as well. And if anything, I'm actually rooting for them. I probably wouldn't say anything, just quietly, maybe smile at them or something, but I'm rooting for them. Like, I see that they're willing to do that struggle, that first few sessions.
I love that. We're all in it together, aren't we? We're all in this world together.
Everybody's
got a new. Yeah, everybody's got a new. Every day, every moment, someone is doing something new, and let's be nice instead of, judging ourselves included.
Yes.
So, we usually end our little session with an affirmation or an intention. Do you have one down for people? You know, to help them this week or help them on their journey?
I think that, I don't know if it's an affirmation as such, I think it's okay to acknowledge that the version of you that you are right now is enough, but it will also be enough to launch you into that next version of yourself too.
Love that.
So you can still strive for a bit more, but it's not from a place of not being enough already.
Yes.
there's an affirmation in there somewhere.
I love
Yes,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's lovely.
Yeah.
That's a lovely message.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us. It's
Amazing.
been-
Beautiful place. And if you're in the Cardiff sort of area, this is a beautiful studio to come to, isn't it? And you're going to be doing some beach yoga this summer as well?
Yes, yeah, keep an eye out for that, yeah.
Yeah, so watch
Well,
this space.
as long as the summer comes. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. We're going to have a beautiful summer.
Yes, for sure, it's going to happen.
It's
Yeah.
all good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks very much.
if you enjoyed listening to this episode, then please tell a friend, share, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
We're here for you, so please
Definitely.
share
You
the
know,
love.
yeah, just comment, just let's get on this journey together because it's a good journey to be on. And remember, you are awesome. Always.
Yes.
Always.
Send in love.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.